is different groups of people that literally create the fabric of a society around shared values, shared ideals. Identity politics is complete the other way. It's tribal warfare. Tribal warfare, and when you see it,
Guys, thanks so much for joining. John Sotocast, Tim Dillon just came out with this. Makes really good points. As always, we're going to take a look, listen to him, give our own opinions as we go along, and see what we think. If you please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all the new subscribers. It really helps out a lot.
Examples of it are always pretty gross. I don't even like them, by the way, when they're not designed to be gross. Meaning when they're like, it's like I'm getting an award. You know, the gay and lesbian, whatever, gives an award to someone. I go, great, whatever, okay. I'm not angry at that. But again, I look at all of that stuff and I say to myself, at a certain point, do we ever get away from this rabid desire to self-segregate into these groups and we play this domination game of who can dominate who? To me, that's never been interesting to me. And, you know, if you're an intelligent person, I don't think it's interesting to you. I think and I think a lot of the people where it's super interesting to them, they're using it as leverage to get something, you know? And they want to, whatever the case may be, whether they're far to the left, far to the right, whatever identity politics that has completely taken over, I think.
And that's a great point. And that is a point that I think loses a lot of, whether it be conservative, MAGA, whatever the hell you want to call it. A lot of people on the right side of the political aisle don't believe that they're involved or they're being consumed by identity politics, when obviously that's the case. Whatever that may be, like whatever that may be, whether they not like blacks, not like Jews, not like whatever, not like Muslims. They're playing both sides of this. Identity politics is playing a huge role in both sides of this. Obviously, the left is a lot more apparent in how they go about doing it. It's a lot more pervasive. It's everywhere on the left side of the aisle. But the right has a pretty big problem with this. It's a pretty big problem. It's definitely not nothing. Definitely not nothing. They are getting you to hate and dislike and think about groups in a particular way that it's not healthy. It doesn't make you. It's not a good look. It's definitely not a good look. You know, when somebody says I hate and they just name a demographic, that's never a good thing. It's not, whether you're a religious person or not. You know, you now again, that doesn't mean we don't. Obviously, we recognize patterns of behavior. We recognize cultures are different. We recognize all of that stuff. So you know, if somebody says I don't particularly like that culture, whatever that culture's name is, that's a little bit better, But just again, there are people that come from the culture, that maybe look like the culture, that maybe derive directly from the culture, but they've assimilated, they've adopted, they understand what it is to be an American, and now they're an American. Obviously, they're going to have some of the baggage from their particular culture, which, you know, that's kind of everyone, especially when you're first, second generation. That's going to be part of it. But, you know, we don't want to get to the point where we are becoming as bad as the left when it comes to the identity politics thing. And I think that's something we have to all be very careful with.
I think a lot of people see that as a necessary path to power. I think they see it as a path to power. I think that's what identity politics is. At its core, is a path for some people to attain power by building a power base of people that are, you know, aligned on these, you know, immutable characteristics, whatever. You know, I'm a man, I'm white, I'm Jewish, I'm Muslim, I'm gay, I'm straight, I'm black, I'm a woman, whatever. And all of that to me is not ideal. So when you look at all this stuff, and that's why probably the only way to fight this is to have a world war where we eliminate half the population. And I thought about it, and I think, unfortunately, what I've come to is that in order to kind of reverse the tide and get people to remember what is important, we have to have a world war where we eliminate 3.5 billion people. I don't think that there's another way to do it. When I look at the rise of identity politics and how troubling that is, the only course of action that I could think of would be a world war that would eliminate half the population in a period of 24 months. How many people live on Earth? 7.5 billion? That needs to be whacked in half. population data of Earth, 8.3 billion people. 4 billion of those people need to die in the next 24 months. And I don't say this lightly, and I don't say this to try to be a negative, a Debbie Downer, whatever. I'm saying quite accurately, and I think this has been decided, I don't think I'm breaking news, 4 billion people will have to be killed over the next 24 months so that we can finally start to get back to what matters here. And I think that's the only way to do it. I thought about it in different ways. I thought about it's like, well, we could make turkey more affordable. What are we doing, Eliminate half the population in a global war. A global war. I mean, a James Cameron Avatar-style war where 4 billion people are vaporized. We're going to use nukes. We're going to use nuclear weapons and hypersonic missiles and hydrogen bombs. And large swaths of the planet are going to be uninhabitable for a period of time. But not all of them. Not all of them.
Who here thinks that is completely out of the realm of possibility? Now, a lot of people, I think, get caught up, whether it be, everyone's propagandized, right? Everyone is in their feedback loop. But I mean, if you look, it's obviously there's a lot of stuff going on. I think, and even more obvious, at least to me, is that everyone thinks that in their moment of time, it's the most significant. It's the biggest this. It's the biggest that. And you think that because you're here living through it. I think that, obviously Tim is being very funny, very hyperbolic. But there's a lot of truth into a lot of people thinking what he's saying, that we are on the cusp of a world war. And the potential for a nuclear attack is probably a pretty significant. I would say it's actually more now than it was when Russia was getting pushed into a corner, because there really is no. I don't see how this Iran conflict comes to an end. I don't think Israel is going to essentially allow the U.S. to back out of this. And what I mean by that is the U.S. understands that if Israel continues to attack Iran is going to continue to attack proxies in the region. And we have a lot of assets there. We have bases there. We have personnel there. So if we just back out, Israel's going to continue because they want this done. And they're going to end up just getting us into, they're going to fold us back into the conflict. To me, that just makes the most sense, which is why I didn't want him to get into this war to begin with. But we're here now, so we got to figure this out. But what Tim is saying here, it's just one of those things where we are playing with fire. We're definitely playing with fire. I don't know how this is gonna end out, and it's a lot of people are scared. A lot of people are worried. Trump's political capital is just on fumes right now. I mean, you essentially have Fox News boomers just in the tank. They're still with it. They've gotten their dose of their Fox News saying that this is a good thing. Let's keep it going. And people say that that's Israel funded, and they everyone is going all over the place. But I think on the whole, with the majority of the base, I think he's losing this one. He's losing this one. I don't know if he realizes it, or if he is now in a bubble. He may be in a neocon rhino bubble right now that maybe we can't get him out of, and it might be too late. I don't know. We shall see.
In fact, lots of the planet will be just fine. And there's a lot of underground bases that people have been kind of getting ready for this type of event. This is the type of reset we need. Again, I don't want people to get mad at me for this, because every time I say this, when you go to dinner with people and they say, what do you think happens? And I go, I think, quite honestly, we have to eliminate half the world's population in the next 24 months. You would not believe the attitude that you get. Truly, the judgment. And I don't want any of that. I'm simply telling you that with 8.3 billion people all doing their own thing, that's kind of run out. But we can't kill everyone. So we need to eliminate half. And listen, am I open to more than half? Yes. Yes. 8.3 billion people. If we could get rid of, hear me out, 4 to 6 billion people in the next 24 months, and we were left with 2 billion people in a mix of underground and overground, kind of like solariums and kind of nice areas, and we restarted agriculture and technology and all this stuff. We're not going to lose all of that either. We have it. But we just, raw materials-wise, just really kind of eliminated many of the people on the globe, 4 to 6 billion people. And how would we do it? A nuclear war with China immediately. Not immediately, but within a month. And we do a nuclear war with China. Europe will be destroyed, we'll be destroyed, they'll be destroyed. It would destroy most of life on Earth. And that would just, again, this would be a kind of nice reset. And listen, 5 years from now, the people that are left, and it's not going to be all of us. It might not be me, but the people that are left are going to really appreciate, because no one at that point, when literally half to 3/4 of the world's population was just vaporized, incinerated, died horrible deaths. I mean, people walking around, glowing green, nuclear, you know what I mean? Bad. Once that happens, on the other side of this, people are really going to come together. And they're going to realize that, there's enough resources for everyone. Then, not now, then they will realize there's enough for all of us. There's enough for all of us. And it's going to be amazing. But we just have to get on with that. And I know that's going to be a period of hardship for a lot of people. And my heart goes out to most of them. And it will require the near destruction of all life on Earth. But there's no other way to do. What else would you do? I don't understand. Like, you could, I guess, prosecute those people that were having sex with kids. But that seems so complicated. They all have lawyers. Just destroy all life on Earth. I don't know it. The housing market's so artificially manipulated. Making homes affordable again, it's really not that easy. And then the boomers are going to get mad because they're going to go, oh, my money's in my house. Why are you stealing my money? So you want them mad at you? Just destroy 6 billion people. If you do that, on the flip side, people are going to be a lot happier. I don't know what else you could do. You could honor international law and different bodies and try to come up with diplomatic solutions. I mean, I guess you could theoretically use technology as a way to bridge the gap between people and educate them. Or, very simply, we could destroy all life on Earth.
So you guys see where he's going here. And it's a brilliant, brilliant take, as always. As always. But we're here now. We're in this quagmire of a war. And all the talking heads that I see, they just keep pushing it further and further and further. Everybody that I see talking about this war, discussing this war, it's I don't know. They're never. In the beginning, it was like, it's a week. It's a few days. Now it's a few weeks. I was listening to a PBD podcast. One of the guys, Vinny on the podcast, says, "Oh, maybe 6 months." But it's funny because when he said that, just prior to that, he said, "Yes, I know, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Now, but maybe we need 6 months and ground troops." I don't understand. I don't understand how we get so. I don't know how we get here. How we get so bogged down in weapons of mass destruction. We have to do this. We have to free this particular nation because they deserve it and the other nations don't. I just don't get, with all of the information that is available to us as a society, we are still so propagandized, and our mind is so filtered through the glass that's in front of us. It's wild. It's to the point where I don't know what I do and don't think anymore. and I know that I'm being influenced by something else, by an entity. And it's weird, it's scary, it's uneasy. There's an uneasy feeling about everything. And you know, you just try to go along with the punches. You don't want to pivot too quickly and panic and think that everything's going bad and everything, you know, everyone thinks that the world's going to end. You don't want to go with that crowd. But at the same time, you see these things and it's a slow progression. And then you have to stop and say, wait a minute. Is this stuff is this actually a slow progression? Or am I going deeper and deeper because my algorithm sees what I'm being fed and what is keeping me satiated and just giving me more and more and more? Oh, I don't know the answer to that. Does anyone know the answer to that? Does anyone really know anymore if they're thinking, if they're a free thinking person? It's very difficult, because even remove the algorithm from this particular scenario. What about pre-internet? How did that work? Well, that was information, newspapers, television, radio. Was that much different? I don't know. What that seemed like at that time was it was still an algorithm to a degree. It was curated a lot easier. It was just more narrowly focused. Now, every individual has their own algorithm. And that's why it's very fractured. That's why identity politics is so crucial. Because what they're doing is everybody that's in their own algorithmic or algorithm silo, they want pitted against others. They want to control them separately, because divide and conquer. It's a very simple strategy. And it makes sense, and it makes it a lot easier. When you now have God knows how many factions on the right, as it fractures over and over and over again. When Trump does one thing, or when you have America First person saying another thing, then you have an Israel First person saying another thing, and then you're looking at it, you're like, well, the political right now is an absolute disaster. It's an absolute disaster. That has to, in my view, that has to be by design. There's no way these are natural occurring growing pains in a some sort of political movement. I mean, the political left, for the most part, is still, they're in shambles, but the messaging is intact. You know. So I don't know. It's a very disturbing, very uneasy time. That's how I feel anyway. I've just been out of the loop for a while. I've been taking a break. This stuff it's been very difficult to really sit down and really consume stuff as of late, just because it's not very pleasant. The Iran stuff is just doesn't feel right. Everything just doesn't feel right. I'm not really sure how to put my finger on it. I don't know if I'm missing something, but let me know if you think I'm missing something. Thank you guys very much. 6283talk is my account on X if you want to follow me there. Please hit the subscribe button, notification bell. I'm John Soto. See you in the next one. Take care.